What's going on, everybody? Doug here, one of the hosts, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, here with a Thanksgiving review roundup episode for you all this week. Full transparency, not a Thanksgiving movie episode, just Thanksgiving because of the holiday. It's out now. Holiday's here now, of course, Thanksgiving. So it's going to be kind of holdovers. So held over. Oh my goodness. This will be this week's episode till we're back next week with a full episode of the podcast. There we go, Doug. English, baby. This will hold you over. That's it. There we go. Until next episode of the podcast with me and the boys will return. Again, this is kind of getting a that's final. The last review episode of November. And of course, I want to put this out there for you all for the holiday weekend because, again, we have a lot of things to catch up on. And of course, I am behind. I know I keep breaking my promise to you guys. What's wrong with me? I'm a bad film critic, bad host. But again, I have my reviews of Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, Die My Love, and Christy. 3 films I saw in a span of like the same week, I want to say. And as always, on brand, per usual, 3 extremely different movies from each other to review all for you this week. But I want these out to you all before the end of the year kind of picks up with a lot of our end of the year movies with, even with Eternity, catching up with, oh my goodness, what's coming out this week too? Rental Family from last week. And of course, we have a few screenings back to back in December as well as kind of the end of the year films like the award contenders and, of course, Avatars. So I want to get these 3 out there for you before it is too late, before I forget as well. But of course, hope you're all doing very well. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving. Hope you're enjoying time with family, or if you're not spending with family, hope you're having a great holiday by yourself or family, pets, you name it. It is a very important, not with holiday, to kind of just reflect, of course, and just be thankful that you're here with us and you're still fighting the good fight as well, kind of just, existing. So we're really glad you're here. So hope you all are having a great holiday. Hope you're doing this nice weather if you're in the West Coast. Well, it's been raining a lot here, actually, kind of funny enough. So hope you're enjoying kind of the hopefully nicer weather now. But if you're in the cold, thinking about you guys, stay warm, get some hot cocoa, get a nice fire pit going. And of course, as usual, you can find this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, again, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. You can also find our full video show, the video element of the podcast, on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, you name it, don't be a stranger. Subscribe, rate, review the show. We're going to hear from you guys. Your feedback truly, and I mean truly, means the world to us. So thank you all for kind of tuning into this over, again, 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. I remember this 3 years ago, the podcast just began. We put our first episode on YouTube. Our audio sucked, I know, and hopefully we've gotten much better as time went on. But I remember that very well because it was kind of, we're finding our groove. Finally, we were doing more. We're kind of finding like what the show was, very different than it was, of course, 3 years ago. Hard to believe, and kind of figuring out like what we were watching. And I feel like, in 3 years, there's been just a amazing amount of films and TV to review for you all. And a lot's happened in everyone's lives, I feel like, and good or for bad. I think all 3 of us, myself, Moses, and Nick, have gone through a lot of changes, both good and bad, and that's life, of course, for the better or for the worse. You go roll the punches as life kind of tends to give you sometimes. So just seeing how we've all started to where we are now, I'm really proud of the show. I'm really proud of the work all 3 of us have done. Even when Joel was on the show too, we definitely miss him. But again, respect that he's definitely taking a break from movies and podcasting. But if you ever come back on the show, he's more than welcome to. But at the same time, it's kind of crazy that it's been 3 years, and this is something that I'm extremely proud of. We have a lot way to get. We have a lot more to go, of course. We're still learning how to utilize social media a lot better with clips and more snippets, stuff like that. So bear with us as we're kind of figuring out our groove still. But know that me and the boys have a lot of goals for 2026, and we definitely want to have a lot of things to branch out, do more interviews, have more guests, definitely try out more festivals and other screenings and other conferences and conventions. So We have big plans for 2026, but more importantly, thank you all for all the support you give us over this year, but the past 3 years. Seriously, I mean, again, I think back I had this idea in my head in 2020, 2021, 2022, and I was like, it's an idea, where can we go with this, and just to see where it's taken and just where we're going with it has been a complete honor. I'm really getting a little choked up thinking about it because I feel like the show has been so special to me, to Nick, to Moses, and to all of us, and to all of you. Seriously, this show is yours as it is ours, because you've helped us, you helped us get here, which is incredibly, generous of you all. And the people we met on the way have been just a big part of this as well. I mean, we've picked up a lot of great people that have helped the show out a lot over the years, from people that we work with professionally, people we collaborate with professionally as well personally, people we met at South by, and the viewership we got there. And like I said, we're still pinching ourselves that we got recognized at One Better Out There Another, the IMAX screening. To us, that's me. I mean, me and Nick the other day talked about this at my birthday party. We were just like, that is still mind blowing that someone's listening to us the way you all are. So thank you all for just kind of writing with us and kind of sticking with us all these years. That all our ramblings about movies and TV have definitely not scared you away, not yet at least. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for just being there for us and kind of just listening to us and watching us. We love doing the show, and like I said, we have a lot more to cover, and we're just getting started. 3 years is nothing. We have a lot more to cover, and we have goals, and we have places to be. We want to take the show. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I do appreciate it. Alrighty, folks, moving into, of course, what you're here for, these reviews. Again, 3 triple feature, of course, reviews for you all this week. Again, as always, I'm going to order of what I saw them in, and of course, that is, here we go. Aha, there we go. And of course, that is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I was a few weeks, again, I saw these movies kind of towards the end of their theatrical run. If they're still playing, of course, always see, first option always should be seeing in theaters. If you can, bad day, full price, you name it. Having access to a theater is great. But Springsteen is one I've been definitely intrigued about, just because, I don't think the music biopic the genre has been great this past couple of years. I think the last good one that I saw personally was probably Rocket Man. I'm a big fan of that movie. I'm really bummed I never got to see it in theaters. I think it just kind of came and went. And I think it was also kind of trumped and overshadowed by Bohemian Rhapsody, unfortunately. So if you definitely see Rocket Man, it's a fantastic performance from Taron Egerton. It's wonderfully directed by Dexter Fletcher and produced by the great Matthew Vaughn. And I was a big fan of that movie. I have it on 4K. If you can see it, watch it. I think it's probably one of the best biopics we've gotten in a very, very, very long time. But this one, I'm definitely a fan of Jeremy Allen White. Wasn't the biggest fan of Shameless, but I remember seeing him in this really bad movie called Movie 43. If you know, you know. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very strange and very odd movie. If you have seen it, one of us. It's a movie that I remember seeing in high school. And my friends and I were like, what in the hell are we watching? And it's a movie that, how that was made is beyond us. I'll tell you that much. But it's a very, very bizarre movie with a lot of famous people. So yeah, but anyway, I knew him a little bit from those kind of projects and things here and there. But of course, for me, definitely became more of a fan of him with The Bear, a show that's very close to me because it takes place in my neighborhood where I grew up in Chicago. So I'm a big fan of The Bear. I think the first 2 seasons are just masterfully perfect, and 3 and 4 I'm a little lukewarm on. 4 I'm a big fan of over 3, but the last 2 seasons to me have been very, I would say, kind of lackluster and disappointing, if you ask me. Where the first 2 to me, as you heard on the podcast a couple years ago, I think season 2 is a perfect season of television, which is out of this world great. Yeah, fan of him. He's a very direct, very serious actor. And I wouldn't call myself a Springsteen fan. I know 2 of his songs. I know Part in the USA. Miley Cyrus, Born in the USA, and I'm on Fire by him. So again, with biopics, I'm not with people I'm not huge, not huge, not fan of, not familiar with. I can know hey, I'm gonna watch it from a filmmaking perspective, but also to what can I learn about this person? And a lot of times I think dramatize, it's a Hollywoodified. When I watched last year with Complete Unknown, and I'm not a fan of Timothée Chalamet, but I'm a massive fan of director James Mangold. Not a big fan of folk music or Bob Dylan, but I want to learn more about Bob Dylan. And I kind of learned that he was kind of a dickhead, bit of a prick. So that I learned that much, but I did like the direction of the movie a lot. Didn't love the movie, but I definitely was impressed by the direction and the storytelling of that movie, even though the first half hour drags. But I learned a lot about folk music and how his Bob Dylan was a bit very rebellious towards his career, where he wanted to go electric, and people were like, "No, man, you better stay your ass there. You were a folk singer." So I learned some things about it. Wanted to learn more. Again, always read up after I see any kind of biopics. I'm like, it definitely was interesting, but definitely Hollywoodified and dramatized. So with this, I was like, cool. Springsteen, don't know much about him other than he's pretty popular among a lot of older generation, stuff like that. So again, no Fuse music, but I definitely wanted to see this movie from a filmmaking perspective and also learn more about it because the cast is great in this as well. But again, Springsteen delivered me from nowhere. On the cuffs of global superstardom, New Jersey rock star Bruce Springsteen struggles to reconcile the pressures of success with the ghosts of his past as he records the album Nebraska in the early 1980s. If you saw my reaction to this movie, or not, totally fine. This movie to me is very strange, and I'll tell you why. It is one of the most depressing and one of the most, I guess, anti-music biopics I've seen in a long time. Yeah, there's music in it in this movie, but I gotta be honest, this movie is just more about Bruce Springsteen's depression during this time of when he was making this album. So I feel like the movie didn't really, I'm not gonna say it was misleading in a way, but at the same time, I felt like this movie didn't want to make it. The movie was kind of saying like it didn't want to cover the music at all, and that could have been the angle that Scott Cooper made this movie, who made Crazy Heart, Black Mass, Out of the Furnace. Very good filmmaker. But to me, I feel like he was like, I guess we had to cover the music, but it's like, Bruce Springsteen, his life is music, of course. But I feel like Scott Cooper was like, do we have to do that? So it kind of confused me in a way of like, what was the purpose of this movie? Also, he's, Bruce Springsteen's still with us. So I was kind of confused of like, really, what was the point of this? Yeah, it's very dark, and it's very, I would say, the movie itself is like almost like a 2-hour and some ad of like go to therapy, and someone who's been in therapy, someone who definitely battled with mental health this past year. I can relate to that in certain angles of like how I felt about certain things and how my past, certain things in my past kind of like had a bit of lingering PTSD or lingering kind of just like effects on me. But the movie is kind of just like, just shows of like, man, he's just Bruce Springsteen, just a very dark and depressed and very empty person. And I think that was like part of the movie here and there. I'm like, okay, I'm interested in this, but that's the whole movie, is just him being depressed while he's recording this Nebraska album that everyone wanted to hear what he was going to do next, and he was just like, well, I'm going to do something very different. And it was kind of like how the Complete Unknown movie was just like, I'm doing something different, and da-da-da-da. So it's kind of like a lot of these recent biopics I've seen are kind of about artists trying something different. And in this case, it was him doing something different while he was depressed and dealing with PTSD from his childhood or whatever. And there's a lot of, talking about flashbacks. There's a lot of flashbacks in this movie to a point where I was just like, I mean, this could have been maybe a miniseries possibly, but the whole time I'm watching it, I just didn't enjoy myself. I just felt so like down and took it in the dumps. And I'll be honest, I wasn't in the best mental space when I saw this too. I had a pretty bad day the day before, so I saw it because it was leaving my theater before last day it was playing. And I gotta be honest, maybe that didn't help my experience watching this. I'll say that much. But watching the movie, it was a 2-hour bummer. And like I said, someone whom I am a fan of Jeremy Allen White and Scott Cooper, also the cast, Paul Walter Hauser. Oh my God, what's his name? I got his name every time I see his name. Jeremy Strong, Stephen Graham, who I'm a massive fan of. Again, fantastic cast. But the whole time I was like, this movie's just a bummer. And I struggle to understand like really why this movie was made in the first place. I feel like this movie maybe could have been waited till after, maybe again when the day we do lose Bruce Springsteen, or maybe more like a reflection of his career, or got birthed to stardom. No, it's just about this one period in his life where he was very depressed, making this album that really was very, I guess, anti what he was making at the time. and how he wanted to go kind of like against the system of like, no, I'm making this album and that's it. And people were like, what? But again, you know, artistic freedom as a creator, as an artist, you got to respect a lot of the artists, what they want to do. And if it's a bad idea or you disagree with them, you know, that's still part of the game, unfortunately. So watching it, I'm like, I don't really, the angle of this, I'm like, okay. It was very brooding. It was very, I'll tell you what, it definitely felt like I was watching an episode of The Bear. I felt like, oh, is this Carmy or is this Bruce Springsteen? 'Cause I felt like, yeah, Jeremy Allen White, great actor, but I felt like he was more channeling Carmy at times, that made his character from The Bear, than he was Bruce. And I'm like, okay, Carmy's here. Are we going to the restaurant now? Are we going to getting a sandwich after this? Is he going to yell at his cousin? Is he going to yell at someone else? And he yells a few times kind of like Carmy does in The Bear. I'm like, oh, there's Carmy. Here he comes. So I don't know. And I do feel like if you're a Bruce Springsteen fan, I think you're going to be disappointed. Again, I can't, I'm speaking this, speaking kind of like, maybe here. I think you might be bummed this movie because I don't know if you want to see like, hey, like how he got his start, how he became the boss and Born in the USA. I mean, you do see Born in the USA being recorded, everyone's into it, and he's like, no, and I'm like, well, okay, well that song ended up definitely being a huge part of your career. So I'm like, okay, I guess. So I don't know. I didn't really enjoy myself watching this movie, and I was bored, I would say, because it just felt like there was no light in this movie, where it was just like, no, it's depressing, it's dark, here it is. The flashback scenes with his dad, played by Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham plays his dad, who was a bit abusive to him and his mom when he was a kid. So you feel for that kind of that emotional element, because you see him kind of like stand up for his mom when his dad was abusing his mom or being violent towards his mom. You definitely kind of feel that. And then later on, when his dad gets dementia, starts losing his mind, Bruce is there to kind of be there for him and kind of track him down when he's missing or he gets lost, whatever. So you can tell that all the love he has for his dad is there, despite what he went through as a kid. And that element, I definitely appreciate the whole father-son element for sure, but it just kind of just felt very out of place, or just felt it didn't feel fully developed to a point of like, okay, I want to feel for this, but also I just don't really feel like this movie cares about anything really. I said to my reaction, I said, this movie is artistically underwhelming, and some guy in the comment let me out because you fucking idiot. And I'm like, yeah, okay, could be. Man, by all means, all film's subjective, so I might like it, you might love it, or I might hate it, you might love it, vice versa, whatever. But to me, I'm just like, it had all these elements of like being a great biopic if they kind of like follow through a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just a very morose and very just brooding movie that to me kind of goes nowhere, because he makes the album Nebraska, it wasn't a big hit, but then he goes to therapy. I mean, it's definitely, I think it's a one big ad, and this movie was sponsored by like BetterHelp, whatever. This movie would have been probably a massive sponsor from a therapy or consulting or a counseling firm. And Paul Walter Hauser, who I like a lot, I think in his small role he definitely shines. Like I said, Stephen Graham I like a lot. I think his scenes are definitely kind of hard to watch because of the nature of what's going on. Jeremy Strong, I'm a fan of him, but to me, he's kind of playing this kind of this like very like monotone manager that like talks like this, and I feel like he's kind of doing the same character now a couple of times. Where I watched 2 seasons of Succession, didn't love it, kind of stopped watching it personally. Where I was like, okay, whatever, sure. But like recently, he's kind of playing the same kind of like, I don't know, East Coast manager type kind of person, whatever. So, he's good, but I'm like, okay. I mean, cool. For sure, he has good chemistry with Jeremy Allen. Don't get me wrong, but like performance-wise, it was just very bland and very shallow, I would say. And I'm like, these are good actors, but they're not given much to do, I feel like, from Scott Cooper's direction or his script. And also the actress in this, who's right here, I'm blanking on her name. I think she's character Faye. I think she's a fake character, which again, all these biopics are doing these kind of fake, like, oh, this person wasn't real, like Elle Fang's character from Complete Unknown, not a real character, or it's a combination of all different people. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is another fake person. So it's like, I'm kind of confused of like why we're seeing a lot more fake people in these biopics. I'm like, maybe because of legal purposes, that could be the legal purposes. I understand, whatever, but don't you want to like have like more truth or more authenticity to these kind of biopics, if you ask me? And I mean, she's good. I mean, she's definitely good in this movie because you feel for her because she gets, she gets feelings for Bruce, and she plays Odessa Young. That's her name, yeah. Who is very good in this movie, but you feel for her because it's like Jeremy Allen White again. Bruce is like, yeah, okay, you have a daughter, okay, I like you, but all right, yeah, like, all right, sure, like. He was interested, but kind of let her on. I mean, she caught feelings to a point. He was just like, well, what the hell? I mean, kind of, I won't say blindsided her, but in a way he kind of did because he kind of led her on to a point of like, oh yeah, like, you show interest in me and my kid, and you take us on these dates and these trips, all these trips, whatever, just to kind of be like, hey, I'm leaving. But again, he kind of explains that he's like, oh well, I'm not right. Like I'm not right for you. I'm not right for myself. Blah, blah, blah. So that I didn't really feel the emotional element of a connection to it, if you ask me, or aspect where I'm like, okay, like I don't really feel for any of these characters. So I don't know. Walking out of this, I just felt very very kind of bummed out, like almost like a dark cloud was over me. I give you what I mean. It was definitely kind of odd seeing because he's singing in this movie too, but like it's a very strange back and forth from him actually singing to actual Bruce Springsteen recording. So it was kind of like. There should have been maybe a better balance or more good like hybrid of the two because I kept feeling like okay that's Jeremy Allen White singing, that's Bruce singing, and you can tell it wasn't like a close enough whatever. No, you can definitely tell. So that was kind of odd too as a choice. Again, Scott Cooper, who I like, definitely brought his his grittiness to the movie. I'll give him that much, but overall, this movie was a bummer. And I was just like, I have no desire to ever watch this ever again. And it was kind of one of those films that people were like, oh my gosh, like Oscar time, Oscar worthy, here we go, it's gonna be great, da 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 da. And then it kind of came. People were like, nah, we good. Like, all right, like nah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, it's kind of like this, and also what was it? Smashing Machine with The Rock. Like these two big movies. Oh, watch out! Oscar talk for Jeremy Allen White and The Rock. And the movie came out and they kind of were underwhelming and they got underperformed. And everyone's like, well, that's that. See you later. Like they were so quick to kind of dismiss it. And I mean, rightfully so. I think both these movies. I was looking forward to Smashing Machine more than this movie, but even both these movies, I was very underwhelmed by because I was like, these movies could have been great because everyone who's involved and the cast and crew attached to this, but ended up being very just generic. Like I said, very just brooding and very just underwhelming me. Just So I give this movie because of the performances. I'll give it 4 out of 10. I mean, again, I appreciate that it was shot on real locations and real sets being built, and you can definitely tell that Jeremy Allen White definitely did his research and kind of like definitely trying to like did his best to embody him, even though he didn't really do. I think he could have been better or made someone different playing him. But yeah, overall, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. This movie was kind of just for me. If you're a Bruce Springsteen fan, I would love to know what you think about this movie. If you like this movie a lot, let me know in the comments or even DM me because I'm like, I gotta find someone who's a massive Springsteen fan, and because I feel like this movie to me was just like you like his music? Well, too bad. This movie's about him being depressed. So intimate, yeah, but also very just like for why, if that makes sense. So yeah, I give that movie 4 out of 10. I think it's on probably on Hulu soon, but I don't see the movie getting all the recognition that it was getting. Probably that was supposed to get probably for the Oscars or the award season. But that's that. Moving on to a movie that is going to be very hard to talk about because I don't know what the fuck I just watched, and that is Die My Love. It says right here, thriller comedy my ass. The movie is not funny at all. Yeah, I'm gonna be probably in the minority of this movie, maybe because I was getting good reviews. Again, synopsis, of course. This is made by Mubi. Mubi made The Substance, a movie that Nick and I loved. We loved The Substance. Also in our top 10s last year. A movie that was out of nowhere. This really kind of small indie company called Mubi. It's kind of definitely on the rise now with their streaming service, now their production company. So I give that much. That they make very unique and very original films. But with that said, here we go. Die My Love. Grace, a writer and young mother, is slowly slipping into madness. Locked away in an old house in Montana, her increasingly agitated and erratic behavior leaves her companion, Jackson, worried and helpless. Okay, right off the bat, guys, this movie was not for me at all. I will probably admit this too. this movie probably not made for me or made for men my age. I'll give you that much. I kind of caught on to what it was of like, oh, I mean, spoiler, there is. I could tell that it was supposed to be a metaphor for postpartum depression. So again, I have no idea what that's like as a man, as a dude. But I felt like that was kind of how it was with that movie Mother, a movie that I was also not a fan of at all. But with this, the trailers to me were intriguing to a point where I was like, okay, like what could this be? Like this might be interesting. Nah. The movie right off the bat, I was like, yeah, okay, it's one of these. I'm like, okay. And then I just felt frustrated watching this movie. I was just like, okay, oh sure, okay, fine, that happens, whatever. And people, again, this might be, I think critic-wise, people are loving this movie. I think audience-wise, it's not. And again, I'm a massive fan of Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. I really am. I mean, I grew up with Jennifer Lawrence from X-Men movies to Hunger Games. And Robert Pattinson, who I'm a big fan of, as Harry Potter, he was Diggory, and Goblet of Fire. And again, I wasn't a Twilight fan, but I loved him in Good Time, loved him in a lot of other stuff, Lighthouse. What's it on Rotten Tomatoes now? 73% critics, 46% rotten, popcorn down. Yeah, that is definitely. I'm in the lower that tipped over popcorn. This movie to me is just her going insane for 2 hours, and the anxiety I had in this movie watching this, I felt so anxious, and I felt so and if that was the point, I mean, mission complete. I give you, congratulations, you did it. But the whole movie, I was just like, I wanted to leave. I was like, I'm gonna walk out of this movie because I'm just like, this movie was. I was like, oh, I was so uncomfortable watching this. I felt so dirty, uncomfortable, and just so like out of place. Where I'm like, ugh. And there's a point where this might be my spoiler, where she kills an animal on screen, and I said, nope, no, I almost walked out. I can't watch that. I can't watch this up as a proud dog dad and someone who loves animals and loves dogs. I was like, nope. And that to me, I almost walked out because I was like, I can't watch this anymore. Because I was like, no. But I stayed with it because I don't know what kept me to stay there. But really, it just, Jennifer Lawrence for 2 hours just off her meds. And not in a good way, not in a fun way. Just really just, yeah. I mean, again, it's hard to describe this movie in words. It's just for her, 2 hours is really her on this tirade, on this like depression, and on this like manic, and this like, yeah. I mean, it's really hard to, again, it just, you're watching this woman, dive into madness, and you don't really feel for Robert Pattinson because he looks exhausted the entire time. He looks defeated, and you assume, again, not spoiler, you assume he's doing something behind her back. I'll say that much. And you're like, okay, you're also a prick too, because like there's no one in this movie that you like, not at all. Like, no one in this movie you like. You're like, everyone, you're all awful people. But I mean, you feel bad for him. I mean, they have a baby, and you're like, okay, like, what's gonna happen here? But the movie it is disturbing. It's disturbing, and it's uncomfortably disturbing because the behavior in this movie is just like, you're so uncomfortable, you're just very on edge, you're like, so I just had I was miserable in this movie. I just, again, if I definitely know that, I will admit that I can fully admit that this movie is not made for me or my demographic or maybe my age group, I would say. But if you were my age or my demographic and you liked it, let me know what you think about this movie too, because I thought I was just like, what? Also, too, has one of my favorite people working in Hollywood now, Lakeith Stanfield. I'm a massive fan of Lakeith. He's barely in it. I'm like, what? I mean, he's given legit nothing to do or say. I'll say that much. I'm like, wait, you got a phenomenal actor there, Lakeith, who's just killing it, one of the best young actors working today. And you're just like, wait, you just wasted him and his acting abilities. You're like, what was the point of having him in the first place? And this movie also is just very violently horny. I'll say that much too. This movie was very disturbingly and violent. It's like violently horny, where you're like, okay, okay, this again, okay, okay. Like, I haven't seen this movie this violently and very aggressively horny in a very, very long time. To a point, I was like, okay, we get it. Okay, this is damn near X-rated at times, or was it NC-17, whatever it's called, the rating is, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, the performances are definitely there. I mean, it's batshit and it's out there. So I give Mubi, I give both Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence really, pulling it all out there, literally, because they're new to a lot of this movie. But I don't know what to think of this movie. This movie to me was, I just sat there. I just felt just like the whole time I was like, the fuck am I watching? And when it ended, I was just like, I had to take a walk because I was just like, I don't like how I feel right now. This movie to me was just, anything good I say about this movie? I mean, it's like I said, it's a very, it's traumatizing, but it's a very vulnerable performance. I would say it's a very out there performance. So I give him that much, but I cannot recommend this movie to anybody. I can't. I will never watch this movie ever again either. And like I said, I hate when films make me feel kind of just very disturbed and very just like anxious. My anxiety in this movie was through the roof. I was just like, my hands were shaking. I was like, oh no. But it's a movie. It's a movie, and I don't know what else to say about this movie other than that. Just made me feel like awful. So I'm giving this movie a 1 out of 10, just because I saw it in its original theatrical movie. I get points for that, and there's it's a bear it all kind of performance from Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. But this movie to me, I was like, what in the actual fuck am I watching? So. Die My Love, review of the year, guys, 1 out of 10, because I do not know how to fuck what the fuck I watched. I'm like, okay. But if you want to combat me on that, I welcome it. Let me know in the comments or review section. Let me know or DM me because I got nothing. So yeah, Die My Love. All right, a film that I was hearing things about from Tiff, our friend of the show, Seth, saw it at Tiff and loved this movie. I was hearing a lot of good things about it because I know that Sweeney was definitely really putting on a lot of muscle for this movie. A lot of, all the muscle she put on this movie, but she really put a lot of time and effort into this film. So again, this movie is Christy, and I'm talking. This is about Christy Martin, who I believe now is Christy Salter. That's her maiden name. Again, didn't see any of the trailers. I didn't watch any of the marketing. All I saw, I was hearing good things out of TIFF and with the other festivals that were showing the movie. And then again, the big controversy was that this movie flopped really hard. This movie was one of the worst debut openings in a very long time. But at the same time, I don't think it was a really wide release. And if it was, hold on, let me see. Because I have thoughts about this movie too. Okay, over 2,000 screens, which is one of the worst. Okay, and this is what Google says. Had a very poor box office performance, opening with a domestic gross of 1.3 million over 2,000 screens, making it one of the worst wide release openings in history. Okay, all right. So I'll give my review and then I'll talk about the box office after this. So Christy, again, not knowing much about the story, who Christy Martin or Christy Salters was. Is knowing that I know that Sydney Sweeney was posting a lot on social media that she was putting all this training for boxing training, putting on all this muscle and weight. Props to her. And Sydney Sweeney, I'm lukewarm on her. I think she was good in White Lotus. I thought she was not the biggest fan of her. I think she's fine. Like her in White Lotus, she is definitely plays crazy very well in Euphoria. I do love Anyone But You. I will defend any of the week. I love that movie. I watched it recently. It's a feel good, fun rom-com that we were missing in the theaters. That was fun seeing it 2 years ago when it came out right on New Year's Eve because everyone was seeing it. And I'm like, it's fun seeing a rom-com like this in an audience. And they were laughing and cheering and feeling good. So I will defend Anyone But You any day of the week. But other than that, The Voyeurs was interesting. Didn't love it. Didn't see Immaculate, Madam Web. Heard Eden wasn't that good. Y'all heard me with Americana. That movie was terrible. I'm not a huge fan of her personally. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it because from the more of a filmmaking perspective and what I can learn about. Again, biopic again. What I can learn about Christy. What I can learn about boxing or whatever. And going in with little to no expectations or standards, whatever. I walked away saying, wow, this movie it packs a mighty punch, but. First things first, Christy, Christy Martin never imagined life beyond her small town roots in West Virginia until she discovered a knack for punching people. Fueled by grit, raw determination, and unshakable desire to win, she changes into the world of boxing under the guidance of her trainer and manager turned husband, Jim. Flaunting a fiery persona in the ring, her toughest battles start to unfold out of it as she confronts family, identity, and relationship that might just become life or death. So I did not expect how dark this movie to be. This movie is dark and kind of dark. Dark similar to the Springsteen movie. No, this movie is very, very disturbingly dark. And I was not prepared with a movie, again, not knowing much about Christy's life. I didn't know it was going in that direction to a point where I was like, what the fuck? And I sat there, I'm like kind of stunned. I'm like, excuse me? And starting off, I'll tell you what, this to me is for sure Sydney Sweeney's best performance I've seen in her career, if you ask me. Like, this movie, I was like, wow. I saw some actual acting with her in this where I was like, damn, girl, like, dude, keep doing stuff like this because you're actually acting your ass off, not playing the kind of like the cute blonde, the red, oh, look at me kind of person. No, she's acting her ass off in this. And I was like, damn, Sydney Sweeney, where was this the past couple where was this in Madam Web? But this, I was like, damn, I was very floored by her performance. And I'm like, wow, like, if she can do more stuff like this, she's good. I think she can definitely turn her, I guess, career in a different direction that I think get more respectful and more, I think, more admired, I would say. And I'm not a boxing fan. I mean, all my boxing knowledge is definitely from like Rocky and the Creed movies. Again, wasn't a UFC fan either. Again, I feel like I like UFC and boxing movies more than actual boxing and UFC fights. Like, again, I know Mike Tyson a little bit, and Floyd Mayweather, stuff like that. But I've never been about again, maybe video games here and there, but like watching boxing live on TV or at a sports event, not for me. But this, I want to know more about boxing, female boxing, that kind of world, whatever. And she was ruthless. She like talked all this shit. She got in people's heads. She was very competitive, very, very in your face of like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up. This kind of movie. I was like, you're like, damn. And so watching it, I'm like, you definitely see how like people were feared her because she came to kick ass. And Christy Martin, Christy Salter was really someone to look out for because she really was showing like, hey, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna tell you to your fight. I'm gonna beat your ass. You're just like, damn. And she was really in the ring fighting. She was really kicking ass. And you're rooting for her because you're like, damn, girl, you're saying all of this, but you're really kicking ass. You're not talking shit to get your ass kicked. You're like, hey, look, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna win. And you see her, she's kicking ass, knockout. But then the movie takes a turn where you learn more about her personal life and just the relationship that she had with her trainer turned manager James Martin, who Ben Foster, who I love, who after seeing it, I was furiously angry at him after this movie again because he played a good job playing this this fucking terrible human being. But again, that's props to Ben Foster as an actor who could play this really just despicable piece of shit human being very well. But I knew right away, I was like, he's going this route because in the movie, again, she says in the movie that she's a lesbian, she likes women, and she's kind of like, I guess, forced into this marriage with Ben Foster, again, who's playing her manager, who's playing her trainer, and you can tell that they're so wrong for each other in so many ways. There's no love here. It's just, hey, she's the cash, she's the income, she's the ATM for him, and he's just a despicable, fucking just scum of the earth human being, and you feel the tension, you feel how he's using her, how there's no love between the two of them. This is all just just for a financial gain for him, and you're just like, oh my god. So watching it, I felt very uncomfortable because you definitely tell that she doesn't want to be in this marriage. This was forced upon her, and this is just so toxic in every possible way. And it's how he threatened her, how he threatened to kill her, how he threatened to like ruin her life. This guy was a fucking psychopathic, just narcissistic, misogynistic pig. And Ben Foster, man, played it very too well, my friend, because I was angry at you after watching it. Man, fuck Ben Foster. I'm kidding. Good, but again, that didn't props him as an actor, how he can play this person so well. I was angry at him playing this person so well. And then you see like even when top of the world, she was getting her ass beat at home. She was struggling to just live her life because her piece of shit husband was just ruining her life and just taking everything from her. And you're just like, oh my god, you felt for her. And like I said, I didn't realize that it would go in that direction this movie. Again, not knowing the trailers or her story, I was just like, dear Lord. And I just felt so like, angry for her. I felt so like, girl, like, get out of this. But like, she couldn't. She was trapped. I mean, she was trapped in this relationship with this awful person. And what pissed me off the most about this movie was her family, her support system didn't do jack shit. And I'm like, man, y'all, fuck all y'all too. Y'all some villains in this movie too, because not once, I mean, people are like, are you good? And and even when she was like, I'm fine, no one once was like, hey, we got you, we'll help you out. All of them kind of just like let it stand by while she was getting abused by her husband, while she was getting, drained financially and with liquidation, whatever, drained financially from her husband, like she was trapped in this life that she couldn't get out of, and then turning to drugs and substance abuse and just living this awful life. When you were top of the game, now you're just in this way depressed, very kind of like this really spiraling stage. You're just like, oh my god. Again, but no one was there for her. And then her parents, especially. You despise her mom in this. You're just like, oh man, you're just an awful human being. And whenever the mom was on screen, I was like, get her out. She's pissing me off. Get off the screen, because she's just and when like there's a scene where Christy goes like, hey mom, I need help. Like, it's getting bad. Like, he's abusing me. Her mom is like, well, that's too bad. And like, well, how dare you? He's your husband. Be nice to him. It's like, bitch, what? Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding? What the fuck? And I know any right parent would be like, okay, we got you. Like, what? How can we help? I mean, I would hope any right parents would do that. I know that's a fact, but you're sitting there, you're like, man, you guys are all scum of the earth people, because now one of you stepped up helping her, but y'all are you're getting off her financially with her endorsement deals or brand deals or the fight that she's winning. But no, God forbid, you can't help her when she needed her so much. Like, fuck y'all. So I was getting angry in this movie, because I was just like, man, everyone in this movie is pissing me off, because shame on you guys, because y'all should have been there for her when she needed you guys and could have helped her, like, get out of this awful situation. But man, yeah, this movie, I was angry. I was like, man, this is pissing me off. But I mean, at the same time, you have to give her Christy, the real Christy Martin, and Christy Salter's, props, because she survived. The fact that, again, I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but she survives a legit damn near life-ending experience. How she's still alive is a miracle, and I'm glad she's still with us. But you're just sitting there like, how are you still alive? But she is. And you're just like, fuck. And just her story to me is remarkable. Again, not knowing much about her, I read more about her when I came home after the movie, because I was wondering like what her story is, how she's a speaker for domestic violence victims, and just how she's still promoting boxing. I mean, the woman is definitely a powerhouse, and this movie packs a punch like she did in her very own life, both in the ring and outside of the ring. So I don't know. It just, honestly, it's a very good. Never good. It's a solid. I would say solid like double feature with the movie Southpaw. Fictional, of course. This is based on a true story, Christy's life. But just watching it, I'm just like, lordy, and it's heavy. It's really heavy, and I would definitely watch this movie again, maybe in a while. But just seeing how this movie was just very heavy and very just like, whew, just the emotional toll had on me. And just watching it, I just felt very like I need a breather from this movie too. But again, this movie's really good. Again, if you've seen something to me, it was phenomenal in this movie. I think, again, this to me really is like her movie. I'm like, wow, girl, you are acting in this. Finally, you're doing some actual acting in this. Kitty O'Brien, who I love, big fan of her. I love seeing her in more stuff too. She's good in this movie as well. Keep casting her. I'm a big fan of Kitty O'Brien. Keep putting her in movies. Keep putting her in movies. And I also like that. I like that. Besides Ben Foster and Sydney Sweeney, and for me, Kitty O'Brien, a lot of it is still unknown. You didn't cast. You didn't cast like, oh my gosh, like Denzel. You didn't cast. Pedro Pascal. You didn't cast Ethan Hawke. You didn't cast, these names, Tom Hanks, or these big names, whatever. You didn't cast anyone that was like, name or that I would recognize. It would, for the most part, it was very unknown or very not A-list actors. Yeah, Merritt Weaver plays her mom in this. And who's Merritt Weaver? Wait, was she in Severance? Oh, she was in Severance. I think she plays Homeboy's outie wife. Yeah, Dylan's wife. Yeah, and even that movie, too, that show too, you're like, what? But yeah, she plays the mom, and I despised her in this movie. I was like, you are an awful piece of shit human being too. But again, walking in this movie not knowing much about Christy, boxing, female boxing, whatever, I was very, taken aback in a good way, where I was like, wow, I learned a lot about this character, a lot about her life, boxing, and just, it stuck with me. It's, a week and a half later, I've seen it now, and I did a triple, I don't know why I did this, I did a triple feature, I did Predator, Badlands that day, Die My Love, and Christy. It was a very wild triple feature, I'll tell you that much, but hey, so we had the Regal Pass for a reason, right? Shout out to Regal Unlimited. But that was a very wild and very, I would say, very heavy triple feature. Can't recommend doing that again anytime soon. But I walked out saying, wow, this movie really got me emotionally and really, struck a nerve in me, where I was like, oh, man. So I would give Christy a solid 7.7. That's 7.5. It's 2:15 and it drags a bit. I would say that much. You definitely feel the runtime. You're like, it could have been cleaned up a bit with some of the runtime and just kind of like the pace of the movie. I think the pace is decent, but it's kind of all over the place, I would say, at times. Also, too, it's like they never really kind of make anyone look older, because it goes from like 89 to like 2010, I want to say, and a few wigs here and there, but like no one ever ages. I'm like, y'all would have aged a certain way from 89 to 2010. Like, hold up now. So that kind of bothered me too, where I was like, okay, there's no prosthetics, there's no makeup. You're like, okay, it's everyone's same, but just different costumes, different different era clothing and different wigs. Where I was like, yeah, I was like, okay, like, all right, so stuff like that too. And some of the sound mixing when they're fighting, you can't really hear much, or something like the sound sound editing. I was kind of like, it could have been a little enhanced a bit better, a little bit, or cleaned up a little bit better too, if you ask me. But again, not knowing, I was definitely caught off guard how much I like this movie. But again, it is a very tough and heavy watch. So just be prepared when you do watch it, because it's heavy, and you're gonna feel like, whew, you gotta watch me to cheer you up after that. I'll say that much. But yeah, guys, 7.5 out of 10. I think they're all still playing, sort of. They weren't wide releases. A lot of these, Springsteen was, but a lot of these films is underperformed, so that's why they're being pulled so fast. That's why I had to see them before they left. But yeah, I think out of all these, you heard me, Christy's probably the best film I've seen out of this, this bunch of films I'm reviewing. And then real quick, the box office. I got to talk about this too a little bit, because I feel like, in a way, what's the right word? I feel like, in a way, we're celebrating box office failures a lot recently. And, as someone who's very pro the show, myself, Moses, and Nick are very pro theatrical. I don't like that we're celebrating, like we're, not weaponizing, but we're kind of like glamorizing. Oh, the movie flopped, ha 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 ha. It's like, well, no, because that's bad for the business regardless. I don't care if the movie's good or not. We need to definitely champion theatrical movies like this, that are smaller films like this, and Die My Love. Despite me despising Die My Love, I still, though, it's not really something that we should be proud of, because again, these are very low to middle tier budget movies, because again, those films get put on Netflix and Hulu and Prime and kind of forgotten about after a few months or a year, and you definitely want to keep these movies around. Again, aspiring filmmakers, young filmmakers want to, have that chance to make a 10, maybe less than 5 mil budget movie on the big screen. Why it flopped, though? I think the marketing wasn't great. The marketing in this movie was not good at all. Like I said, I didn't see any trailers for this movie. I saw the red carpets, interviews, at TIFF and at the film festivals. Why it bombed? why did, let's see, what's Google saying? Why did Christy, oh, we'll see what Google says. Critical reception, yeah, I would say it's, what did Reddit say? No, delete it. Yeah, again, for example, I don't really know who Christy Martin was. I don't think a lot of people do. So I think she wasn't really a big name. So I think, what does Slash Film say? An indie film, yeah, indie film, not studio backing. That's definitely it. Barely marketed. Again, there was no marketing for this movie at all. So I was like, come on, guys, like put more into it. Sydney Sweeney, yeah, not really a box office draw, I would say. I mean, again, she got lucky with anyone but you, because of the whole kind of romance, whatever. Critics wise, yeah, I mean, what's it now? What does Yahoo say? Yep, same thing. Studio backing. Yeah, Black Bear definitely has been in parts of, like production company with movies. Pardon me, I'm pretty sure they did Dumb Money. That was a Sony release. Love that movie. But yeah, I think the marketing and there's the word of mouth, and I also think there's a lot of controversy around Sydney Sweeney because the whole American the jeans thing, whatever. And I don't think her PR publicist moment is the best right now. I think there's a lot of like more negative press against her than good. But again, I don't entirely blame the movie on her fault, whatever. But I just feel, again, 66 that's it's still fresh, and 96 audience that's huge. So I think it was just there wasn't a major film studio backing this movie, and the marketing was piss poor, to say the least. That's being generous, whatever. So I think we could have had a better release if it was a better release and better marketed and maybe more word of mouth. But there really wasn't. There really, really, really wasn't. So I also think too, Sydney Sweeney. This is her again. I don't think she's a serious lead as an actress. I think she's definitely more better an ensemble or having a supporting cast. So maybe she need to do more movies more like her ensemble, more like an ensemble piece, I would say. So, but yeah, it's just definitely the backing of a major company as well as the shit to piss poor marketing. But again, I do have an issue that we're celebrating like, haha, movie failed. It's like, no, that's so bad for the business, both for theatrical and movie making. Because again, we're losing a lot of budget. 15 mil. That's crazy. 15 mil. That's really, really. That's slow nowadays, because again, those movies were getting made all the time to this point of like, yeah, 15 mil budget movie on the big screen, da da da. But we're seeing more major stuff go to theaters, where the little stuff like this is going right to streaming and forgotten about. So I don't know, the championing of like, this movie flopped, ha ha ha, da da. It's like, no, this is how you feel about Sydney Sweeney. It's just like, I don't like that we're celebrating movies failing the box office. I don't care if the movie's good or not. It's just like, we need to like, how can we fix it? How can we like, what can we do to make it's a symbiotic relationship. The movie has to do good for theaters and has to do good streaming. It just has to, we got to, really, how can we, get this back on track with the theatrical and movie going experience. So yeah, I think also too, another film that probably was like, this movie, Die My Love and Springsteen, probably like all this Oscar buzz, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then it's going to end up being forgotten about and at the end of the year. So yeah, I will watch Christy again for sure, but not anytime soon, because I left a really just heavy impact on me where I was like, ugh. So but if you're a boxing fan, if you are a Christy Martin fan, definitely check it out. But just please, pay attention. It's a very heavy watch. So just be prepared for that. But alrighty, folks, that is my review roundup episode for this Thanksgiving week. Hope you enjoyed my ramblings and revelations and my thoughts on these three movies. Again, three different movies as always, very on brand, and one film I liked and two not so much, which is kind of a bit of a bummer. I like when I have like two films I'm really eager to talk about with you all, or at least in this case three movies to talk about. But fortunately, that's name of the game sometimes is kind of just seeing what works, doesn't work, whatever. But look out for coming up. So I should hopefully be seeing Knives Out is playing in one theater in AZ. I'll find that this week before it goes away. Thank you, Netflix. Typical Netflix, their anti-theatrical business. Ugh. It's a whole different podcast for a different reason. Look out for that. I'm gonna try to see. like I said, Rental Family, heard good things about that, as well as Eternity, which I'm really hyped to see. All my friends, Nino and stuff, love this movie, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So hopefully have that out to you next week. And then again, I think Nick and I are seeing Five Nights at Freddy's 2 next Wednesday, which to me, I'm like, whatever. The first one was whack. But no, it's a big fan base for that movies, that franchise. So hopefully this one can prove me wrong. But that's next week as well. So got a lot more of the pipeline for you all. And then as we end into the end of the year with our recap of the year, what we watched, what we loved, what we despised. Okay, no, we're not doing that. What we loved. Look out for that. But yeah, guys, still have a lot more in the pipeline as we end up 2025. It's been a hell of a good year for movies. And again, 2026 has a lot in store for us that I can't wait to cover and review for everyone on the show. I know I speak for myself, Nick, and Moses on that fact as well. Alrighty, folks, have an amazing Thanksgiving holiday. Stay well, stay safe, eat some good food, enjoy yourself, enjoy the time of reflection and being thankful for this life. Thank you all for being part of the show, being part of this community. But more importantly, as always, guys, we will see you guys at the movies.